This is MATHguide.com, and my name is Mark Karadimos. In this video, you're going to learn how to solve radical equations. Before we get started, you should know that MATHguide does have a text-based lesson on this very topic, and we also have an interactive quiz too. It'll throw you a random problem, and it'll check to see if you have the correct answer. So I'm going to make those things available to you. I'm going to put them in the description of the video. All right, let's get started. So here's the problem. Let's say we've got negative 2h plus 7 under a radical. We're subtracting 19 from it. That's equal to negative 16. So we're trying to solve for h here. Anytime you solve these problems that have radical in it, it's a radical equation, an equation with a radical in it. There are two things that you have to be concerned about. Well, the first thing is you've got to get the radical alone. All right, so when I try to get this radical alone, I have to get rid of this subtraction by 19. So the inverse operation is to add 19 to both sides. All right, in doing so, we're going to get our first step of this process done. I'm going to add over here. I get 3, and of course the negative 19 and 19 cancel. All right, so step 1 is done. I've got my radical alone. Step 2, we're going to have to get rid of the radical. Since this is a square root, I know there's no number here written in our index here, but it is square root. The inverse of square root is squaring. If this problem had a cube root, then the inverse of a cube root would be cubing, and so forth. So since this is a square root, I'm going to square both sides. Those inverse operations will cancel each other. So I'll be left with a negative 2h plus 7. Over here I'll have a 9. Because 3, I don't know why I put a 3 there. Isn't that something? I said square, but I put a cube there. That's odd. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I did square both sides. There you go. So 3 squared is 9. Glad I caught that. Okay, so now to solve the rest of this, I have a regular, just a linear equation. So I'm going to follow the steps I would do with any linear equation. So I'm going to subtract 7. That's the inverse of adding 7. 9 minus 7 is 2. And then you could see that we're multiplying by negative 2, so the inverse would be to divide by negative 2. And I'm going to put the solution over here. The negative 2's cancel on the left side and the right side. 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. And there's my solution, but not so fast. What we have to do is check. We have to check to see that this answer is correct. So what you do is you rewrite the problem. So you put negative 2h, except I'm not going to write the h. So I'm going to test to see if this value works. And remember, the value we got is negative 1. So what I want to do is put in a negative 1 in place of h and actually see if this solution is reasonable. So if I take negative 2 times negative 1, I get 2. 2 plus 7 is 9. And I'm just taking it one step at a time. I'm not trying to rush through this. Square root of 9 is 3. And this is true. We could see that 3 minus 19 is equal to negative 16. So this is a truthful statement. So we would say that yes, since this does check out, we get negative 16 is equal to negative 16. We know that h equals negative 1 is the correct solution. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so again, I suggest you go back to MATHguide and check out the link in our description. You'll see a link for an interactive quiz, and I suggest you use it to see if you really do understand this. Okay, so this has been MATHguide.com. Check out our text-based lessons, our interactive quizzes, and instructional videos. Take care.